Hello everyone. In previous video, we talked about pipes, its use cases in NestJS, and how we actually use pipes. But we only learned how to perform transformation in the pipes. In this video, we will be learning about how to perform validations in the pipes. Okay. But validation doesn't happen by itself. So for validation, we also use another concept, which is data transfer object in NestJS. So you must remember that two videos ago we had we created a user resource, and by default NestJS created this DTO folder which represents data transfer object, and here we have create user DTO and update user DTO. So DTO represents data transfer object. In plainest software engineering principle, data transfer objects comes into apply when the data is sent from one layer to another layer. So in our case, what we will be doing is we will be sending our data from one layer, that is from either front end like web app, mobile app, desktop app, or from like a client like for example Postman. So this is can be considered as one layer. We will be sending our data from here, which is one layer, to the backend layer, right? So this is where the data transfer object comes into play. Data transfer object, what kind of the objects data is being transferred, you can think of it like that. Okay, so that is DTO, that is the concept of DTO. And another analogy is, you should remember DTO as what should be your request look like. So what should be the shape of that your request is determined by the DTO. Okay, so DTO and validation pipes work together to implement actual validation. Like for example, a proper sanitized data should be sent from your front end side of the application to the back end side of the application. So these two work hand in hand. So the very first step would be for you to do this, import validation pipe from NestJS common, and then use it as app.use global pipes new validation pipe. So this is how you should actually use global your validation pipe. Okay, this now applies to your application on a global level, on an entire application level, this particular pipe. Okay, so let's hit save, and let's go to my controller here. And in my controller you can see that I have one post controller which takes in a body of type create user DTO. This is the name of the variable, and the type of this variable is create user DTO, which comes from this file. Okay, and this particular file is this. Let me just remove it and make it empty for now. Okay, so for our this variable takes the shape of this particular class. Right now this class is empty. Okay, in order for you to start working on this, you have to install class validator as well as class transformer. Just run this command in your terminal and it should install these two libraries. As you can see in my package.json, I have already installed class transformer for my version is 0.5.1 and class validator and my version is 0.14.1. Okay, so you can have it just installed, like for example go here, open up a new terminal, copy this and then paste it here and press enter, and it should have it installed as a dependency. Dash dash save means it is going to be installed as a dependency. So moving forward, we have now defined our create user DTO. Right now let's define its shape. We can import, for example, is email or is not empty, like whatever the type of the validation you want to put from class validator. And then you can, for example, type the name of the property. For example, you want email to be received as a string and it's supposed to be an email, and name it's supposed to be a string and it is supposed to be not empty. Okay, other than these two, this control space, if you press control space you would be able to see a lot of these things. Let's say these are all of the validations that you can apply. For example, is alphanumeric, is array, is ASCII, is boolean string, and there are so many validations that you can apply right out of the box from this class validator class library that you installed. You can even verify if it is a JWT, if it is lat long, or if it is latitude, longitude, MAC address. It identifies IP address, number, string, and a lot of validations just come right out of the box. Right, it even also identifies MongoDB if I can find it here. Mongo UID. Yeah, so it comes in handy a lot of time if you are working with MongoDB and you have to verify that whatever the input is coming is a MongoDB ID, a Mongo ID or not. So there are a lot of validations that you can find from this particular class and just apply it right off of the box. So let's keep it simple for now. Hit save and go to our Postman and let me open up a terminal. Let's go to our controller here and let me make it as a console log so that I can see what is actually being received like this. Hit save. Let the application start. Okay, now I will send name, email and age. Hit send. So it returned a proper response and you can see I got name, email and age. Let's try and just mess with it like this and hit send, and you can see bad control character in string literal in JSON at position 48. We got some sort of error because I did not put a string here. It is not the validation error, it was because I did not send the correct JSON. So hit send. See, now the JSON is correct, but the email that I sent is not a proper email. So it said that email must be an email and said send an error of bad request and with a status code of 400. So moving forward, let's make it a correct email address and hit send. But you can see one anomaly, that is where am I here? So I only said that the request should look like email and name, but you can see age is also coming. So what you can do is you can try and strip this age here. So for example, only the properties that are mentioned in this particular shape of a DTO should only be allowed, and all other properties should be stripped, should not be received at the server end. Okay. So you can do this by coming here and typing whitelist as true and hit send. So you can see my AI is telling me what it does. It removes any property that does not have a matching DTO. So if I send now, and you can see here now the age is not being received. But there is one other thing, if I remember, it is forbid non-whitelisted. So let's try and adding it now. It says to throw an error if a property is not whitelisted. So before it was stripping the property that does not match a DTO shape. Now it will supposed to throw an error, and it is not throwing an error. Let me see why is that. Let me check it. Okay, so you have to actually use both properties together to make sure that the error is thrown. You have to make sure that the whitelist is true and then forbid not whitelisted is true, and so that the error is thrown and the properties are not stripped. So there are a lot of other properties here that you can try as well for your validation as per your needs, and you can find it here. For example, forbid unknown values, expected type, and there is one other thing which is disabled error message. So if I make it true like this, and let's make it an error here and hit send. See, now the error message is gone. So it doesn't tell you what type of the error it is. It only shows you that it is a bad request. And you should always have this disabled error message true in your production code, because you don't want other people to know what kind of errors are actually being thrown from your backend for better security concerns. The good security principle says that least amount of errors should be known by the client side. So for example, you can like if you're working on your production code, you can say, for example, if dev environment, maybe you have a variable like this, so make it true, otherwise if dev environment, then it is false, otherwise it is true, so that in your development environment you can see the errors, but if it goes into the production, the errors goes away. So you could do some logic like this. Is dev environment should be a correct variable name. So this is all about validation pipes, DTO and stuff like that. I hope the video was clear and you were able to understand the concepts of it. Thank you.